Welcome everybody to the Sarpy County and Cities Wastewater Agency Board meeting. Today's Wednesday, June 24, 2026 is 4 o'clock. Copy of the Nebraska Open Meeting Act is located on the north wall of the agency boardroom. In attendance today, we have the agency members. Mike Kleffner is representing Mayor Black. He's the Public Works Director of City of Papillion. Rusty Hikes, the Mayor of Bellevue. Doug Kindig is the mayor of La Vista. Bob Roseland's the mayor of Springfield. I'm Don Kelly. I'm the chair of the Sarpy County Board. And Dan Hoynes is our agency administrator. Jeff Thompson's our project engineer. Mark Setout's our financial advisor. And Lisa Hare is our secretary. If you haven't, silence your cell phones and let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
all. Before we get into our staff reports, I omitted letting everybody know this is a public meeting, and anyone from the public that's here to attend the meeting is welcome to speak on any topic. If you're going to do that, we'd just appreciate that you limit your comments to a reasonable amount of time. Let's just say 5 minutes or less, and you read your name or you say your name and give us your address for the record. We'd appreciate that. Okay, so right into administrator. Well, before we go, does anybody from the board have any comments? Okay. Dan, agency update for the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member mayors. Project Manager Thompson will get up here in a few minutes and give you the really important information, the stuff we're working on that matters, and that is the design, permitting, and easement acquisition process of all of the Phase 1B lines. Not the first time that I've shared that with you, but Jeff will provide that progress. Let's keep in mind that we don't have funding for construction for those lines, but we're spending several $1 million to do the design, permitting, easement acquisitions, and we're going to diligently try to pursue additional funding so that we can align a construction phase very closely with those Phase 1B lines. Towards that end, I do have a trip scheduled to coordinate with Tim Gay. Tim and I are going to D.C., have meeting scheduled with all 3 of the federal delegation offices to advocate for our projects that we put in for the congressionally directed spending. Tim's office is also, Mr. Chair, member mayors, found another potential funding source from the Department of Commerce. And so I'm working with Tim's office, and we're going to engage a couple other outside agencies. There's a pretty significant amount of funding, so a lot of my effort is going towards trying to get that construction funding lined up. Plan B, and I would say maybe 1A, 1B, the PFM report. Jeff, Mark, and I met with PFM, Suzanne, and Carrie on Monday for a couple of hours. We gave them additional updated information on things like pilot revenues and some other things. I do expect their initial report, you remember we asked them 3 questions: should we revenue share, should we borrow the full WIFIA loan, and should we use some of our other revenues to help offset the reserve requirements. It's elbowed out the scope a little bit, which I anticipated it would, but the plan is to get the draft report in the hands of all of the agency administrators and reps by June 30th. We're still on track for that time. Give those members a couple of weeks to review it and then offer comment. And then on August 6th, I've scheduled in-person meeting with the PFM staff out at the agency offices and all of the agency administrators to come out and do a line-by-line discussion on the draft report to PFM. Should we do this? Should we do that? And the path forward will, from that point, I think we'll have to wait for that discussion to see what we want to do. But lots of funding discussions from my perspective. Final thing we have, all agency members have approved the agency budget now that you approved in April, and so we met our June 30th deadline for that approval. So that concludes my information, Mr. Chair, member mayors, unless you have any questions.
Any questions for Dan? Thank you, Dan. Jeff, engineers report.
Chairman Kelly, agency member mayors, Jeff Thompson, project engineer for the agency. Thank you. I guess can I get this up, Jose? Just one thing to report on the construction side. As you may recall, our connection agreement with Sarpy County required us to decommission the lift station site at Fairview Road and Highway 50. What you're seeing here was the original lift station location site, and the demolition for that work has been completed. Hawkins finished that up here just a couple weeks ago, and happy to report that came in about $60,000 under what we had budgeted for that for this year. So just haven't had a lot of pictures to share here recently, but thought I'd just give you a quick run through of what that all looked like and the effort that went into that, and then kind of what the ultimate site looks like now that it's been fully restored and utilized, or is being utilized by the agency for our flow meter monitoring for Sarpy County. I'd be happy to answer any questions related to that particular item at this time, but I have a couple other things to share if not.
Press on.
All right, sounds good. On the HDR front, design, permitting and easement acquisition front, a couple important deliverables here that I just recently received from HDR. We asked them to update our master plan, drainage map design, and pipe sizing. It was a little bit hit and miss on having everything fully sized and kind of a large understanding of what the overall master plan piping network sizes and lengths were going to be. So they've been through that, provided me with a draft copy. I've reviewed that, sent it back with comments, and I expect by the end of this week I'll have a final copy of that. They've also provided me with a preliminary alignment, refined alignment profiles for phase 1B. If you look at our master plan, it was really high level, very rudimentary in regards to just kind of line work generally shown along the creek lines and not necessarily outside the confines of some of the environmental impacted areas like wetlands and drainage ways and those kinds of things. And so, excuse me, they're provided us with a preliminary cut of those, and we're going through those with Hawkins and their team and HDR as well to kind of get those fully refined before we actually start cutting sheets and getting pencil to paper and working through where we want to start looking at getting geotech work and some of those kinds of things. So likewise, they've also provided us with track maps for all of the alignments so that we know which property owners on both sides of the creek may or may not be affected, so that we can start positioning Midwest right-of-way to start making contact when we need them to for right of entries and those kinds of things. So things are progressing very well on the permitting and design side of things. Also been working to get the 2026 CDS grant, the work plan for that, and some of the other requirements for that. One thing that we will have to do is go out for an RFP for the actual right-of-way agent, consultant selection process. That was something that they had kind of questioned on whether or not we were just going to hire a Midwest right-of-way or actually go through the competitive bidding process. So we are going to let that for bid, waiting on comments back from the EPA Region 7 office on our initial draft of that proposal, but expect to hopefully get that out here the first part of July and hopefully get that on the streets and ready for proposals by mid-August. With that, I'd answer any questions you might have.
Nope. We'll see you later.
All right.
Thanks. Mark? Financial dashboard. Hey, Mark, just a request. Could you just hit the high points, the big changes on this report?
Sure.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. I'm Mark Setout, Agency Treasurer. This is Wastewater Agency's monthly financial dashboard report for the period ending May 31, 2026. I'll stick with current period here. We recorded $442, almost $443,000 in connection fees for the period. Flow revenue we had about 63,000 recorded. Other revenues, the only change there was interest income, came in at $12,000 for the month. So that puts our total revenue at just under $519,000 for the period, or 4.7 million to date. Moving down to expenses, total expenses came in just under 144,000, or 3.4 million for year to date. That's significantly lower than what we had budgeted due to the WIFIA loan modification. So our net income for the period is $374,705. And that puts our net income total for the year at negative $189,000. Now that is, we had budgeted over $900,000 in negative net income for the year, so we're still beating our budget there. Moving down to loan balances, we did book the second half of our debt service payment, which was the $750,000. You'll see that over on the right-hand side. That's displayed year to date as the 1.5 million. For loan balances for the SRF, then that reduces those balances from the interest-free loans for the SRF. The only change this month for the loan was the WIFIA loan, which we were reimbursed about $167,000, and that was primarily due to the payment for the triad settlement. So that puts our total loan balances at about 94 million. Pilot funds remained unchanged. We collected 1.1 million to date and this year, and 3 million since agency inception. We'll get some new pilot analysis and disbursement numbers out here in July for the coming year that we will invoice out. Final section here is cash. So our cash ticked up slightly to 12.2 million total. We did put $2 million into a CD investment with Pinnacle Bank, just to kind of diversify some of the holdings that we have there. And the main tick up for that was, again, the WIFIA reimbursement that we received. So that is all I have for you today. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions for Mark? Any concerns, Mark?
No, sir.
Okay, and when's our audit coming up?
Well, we'll finish out the period here in the next week, so then we'll do our close, and then we have field testing scheduled for August.
Okay, and then who does that for us? Who's our auditing agency?
It's creative planning.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, that gets us to the consent agenda. We have just one item, the claims report from our last meeting. Let's take a motion to approve the consent agenda as published.
So moved, Bellevue.
Second.
Motion by Bellevue, second by Springfield. Any discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 5, motion carries.
Okay, on the regular agenda, item 5 is our minutes from our April 22nd meeting. Is that right, Dan? April 22nd? Okay. Motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Springfield and a second by Bellevue, because we didn't have a meeting in May. Got it. Please vote.
Yeas 4, abstain, La Vista. Motion carries.
Okay, item 6 is Resolution 14, approving the professional services proposal by Electric Pump, Inc., Jeff Thompson.
Chairman Kelly, agency member, Mayors, Jeff Thompson, project engineer for the agency. I have several items here coming up, so if it's all right with you, I won't reintroduce myself every item, but
That'd be great.
what's that?
Because we know who you are.
Yeah,
Thank
perfect.
you.
Hard to miss, right? This particular item is a renewal of a existing contract that we have with Electric Pump. They're the suppliers of the pump systems that we purchased and pre-procured for all of our pumps in our well houses, or our lift station sites, rather. Most of the preventative maintenance work that we have done is by InfraWise, which was a subsidiary of Hawkins Construction. However, with this being kind of a unique item, we felt it was appropriate to contract directly with Electric Pump to pull those annually, check the impellers, all the seals, make sure everything's working and functioning correctly there. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Jeff on this one?
Just when we signed on with Hawkins to do our maintenance and stuff, was this in their scope?
It was not, no. We specifically removed it because I wanted Electric Pump touching those pumps and nobody else. It's not just the pumps, it's the drive motors for the pumps, all the electrical houses that we have stationed at the lift station sites and everything. So they kind of go through it all for us and take a look at all that. So,
Okay.
Yep, it's not an overlap.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by LaVista, second by Bellevue. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 5, motion carries.
Okay, resolution 15 approves professional services proposal by RJN Group. Jeff?
Thank you, Chairman Kelly. Yes, this is also a renewal of a service contract that we currently have with RGN Group to provide us with flow metering services. They look at our monthly flows. They analyze the data for any anomalies or any thing that may be of concern, and then provide us with a monthly report that we're able to use to bill our customers off of. So we've had a few discrepancies between what we're billing our customers and how that's working with Omaha, but we're working through that with the city of Omaha, and RJN has been very helpful in that. It's not something that they're directly contracted to provide for us, but as kind of a side service that they're helping us out there. So be happy to answer any questions you might have with this.
Questions? Motion?
Motion, Bellevue. I'll make a second.
Okay, I got a motion by Bellevue, a second by Papillion. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 5, motion carries.
Okay, item 8 is resolution 16 approving sampling and testing services proposal from EA Engineering, Science, and Technology.
Chairman Kelly, thank you. Again, this is a contract renewal. As you may recall, with our agreement with the data centers, we have an equalization basin that the flow discharges from that basin to the creek. In order to maintain compliance with our NPDES permit, we have to have some dailies, weeklies, monthly, and quarterly, yearly sampling. The company that we're contracted with currently is EA Engineering. This is basically a direct pass-through to the data center provider, Northbrook Raven. They agreed that they would pay all these expenses as kind of their operational expenses for the facility. So this is kind of a net neutral proposal for the agency. I did discuss the proposal with Meta, and they were fine with us going ahead and continuing that relationship. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions for Jeff? Motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Springfield, second by LaVista. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 5, motion carries.
Okay, I'm just going to switch the line up here just slightly. I'm going to do item 10 first, and then we'll come back to 9. Resolution 18, Jeff, is granting the boundary change to the agency's jurisdiction to remove approximately 13.85 acres in Sarpy County's planning and zoning jurisdiction.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly. What we have here is an application from Sarpy County for us to adjust the southern boundary of the agency's jurisdiction. Right now, there's approximately 14 acres-ish that's falling within the agency's jurisdiction. The development that has asked for this adjustment is a total of about 170 acres, so a relatively large residential estates type development. They're asking for this small section construction to be removed. When we looked at it originally, we concluded that the county had previously, with the master plan adjustment, made an addition of about 37 acres to the agency's boundary above and beyond what was originally included. The city of Papillion had asked us to remove about 8 acres of their wastewater or their water treatment plant facility. So there was still a positive gain in acreage to the agency from our original boundary. So by taking this out, it still leaves approximately 17 acres additional land that the agency had taken on outside of what its original commitment was. So staff is recommending that the board consider approval of this resolution. Happy to answer any questions.
Is everybody familiar with where this land is? Can you throw the map up real quick, just to make sure the board can see what area you're talking about? I don't know, for some reason the system's really slow. I was trying to bring it up on my computer. It took about 5 minutes, but.
How many times have we done this before?
We've done several boundary adjustments. I think the last one we did actually was in Bellevue for the water park. We had included some portions of lots that were segregated by the boundary, and so we basically pushed that boundary line to the edge of the lot line, which is identical to what they're asking here. In the case of Bellevue, we were adding additional acreage, not taking out additional acreage. So, but in this particular case, they're asking for it to be taken out, and we've done a couple for Papillion as well.
So it's just generally in the vicinity of the Papillion water facility plant? Is that where it is?
It's about 57th and La Platte Road, roughly.
Okay, so it's
down in that
it's
area.
down by the MU.
Yes, by
water
MED's
field?
plant. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Jeff on this one? Okay, then I'll take a motion.
Motion, Bellevue.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion by Bellevue and a second by Papillion to approve resolution 18, granting the boundary change. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 5, motion carries.
Okay, item 9 is resolution 17, granting a growth management plan exception for the Buffalo Springs replat 1. Jeff Thompson.
Chairman Kelly, thank you. This is also a request from Sarpy County. This is not a boundary adjustment, it is an exception request. A property owner has been working with the Sarpy County Planning Department to basically subdivide his large farm into 16 residential estate type lots that are all 3 acres or less. We did previously approve Buffalo Springs for an exception request because there was an existing home on that site and they wanted to plat just that home lot. So we did approve that exception request to continue the allowance of a septic system at that lot. This is basically just subdividing another portion of that lot into 16 residential lots. But the requirement for the exception request is to allow them to do septics on each of those individual lots. So this approval would allow 16 septic systems essentially without having to come back with every single building permit for an exception request to the agency board.
Okay, so I know we have some people from the public here that want to talk about this subject, but before we do that, can you address the water, the wells, et cetera? I think that's the major concern here.
I guess I'm not fully aware of
Okay,
the question.
We'll address their comments. when they
okay.
come up. Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah, and we're just simply allowing the septic systems. We're not approving the construction and design of the septic systems. So this is basically just an allowance to allow them to actually file an application with the county to build those systems, so.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, if anybody from the public want to address the board on this matter?
Hello, members of the Wastewater Commission. My name is Gerald Vendeska. My farm is adjoins Schramm State Park on Highway 31. The address is 19506 South Highway 31. I'm here to although I might be, like you say, swimming upstream. But I'm here to request that you deny this exception to your growth management plan. And the reason for that is it doesn't make sense to me. The purpose of a growth management plan is to manage growth from the edge of the existing cities or areas that have access to the sewer line. And this subdivision is jumping out into the ag area of the county, and it seems like it is in conflict with the growth management plan. I was heavily involved in making Sarpy County's comprehensive plan, and Mayor Hike, you were also, when you were county commissioner, and you probably remember that a good share of the respondents to the questionnaire and stuff said that the goal was to preserve the good agricultural land of the county. Now this, the sewer project, has a different idea in mind, but they do have you guys do have a growth management plan which takes into account proper planning by making it contiguous from the existing cities or from the existing infrastructure. And this does just the opposite of this. And one of the unfortunate side effects, if you grant a waiver like this, you set precedent. And what happens is, and that's what happened in this case also, if somebody thinks they can get an exception to the plan, all of a sudden the land becomes desirable for speculators, because like I think this one sold for around $17,000, $18,000 an acre. Had they not known that there was a possibility of an exception to go against the growth management plan, they knew people that was interested in that land would have never paid that amount because they could never farm that amount onto it. But once you open the door that, hey, I can divide 16 lots and more than pay for the whole farm, now all of a sudden speculators are jumping in, and your growth management plan is kind of goes down the tubes. And so I just don't think you should do that. It's you had the right idea, grow from the borders of the cities, but don't allow these kind of things, because subdivisions just and farms just don't coexist very good. They just don't. And I think you should stick with the plan and stick with not setting a bad precedent. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions? I mean, I'll just make a comment, Gerald. I mean, and I told this to John yesterday at our county board meeting, the growth is coming, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. And the reason that's a true statement is because people want to live where you live.
Sure.
They want a piece of the good life. And so when we designed the sewer agency, the boundaries of it, what we tried to do is carve out, like where your farm is and other farms that have always been historically agriculture, and a lot of it's in conservation easements. We set that outside the boundary because we wanted Sarpy County to maintain its agricultural, legacy. It's traditionally been an agricultural county, has been, since the turn of the 19th century, and we celebrate that every year at the Sarpy County Fair, and we don't want to lose that heritage. But the other aspect of it is there's just increasing amounts of pressure for development in this area south of what's called south of the ridge line, And now we've installed the sewer infrastructure in a great deal of it, and it's not a matter of if, it's when the rest of the infrastructure will run out west of Bellevue. Out west to Gretna. And when that happens, that will open up all this southern area along the Buffalo Gap corridor. And it will be developed. And when it is developed, and when sewer is accessible to these people, they're gonna have to come back, and they're gonna have to comply with the connection and use fees. And that means that these 3-acre plots, on today's dollars, are gonna be paying about $100 and some thousand to connect to the system, and it's not a option, it's a mandate. So the reason that this whole area was designed was for higher density, but unfortunately, most people want the larger, what I would call residential estate kind of lots, so they can kind of spread out and have some of that serenity and peace that you enjoy on your farm, because your neighbor's not right next door to you. You don't hear them, you don't see them, and you wave to them when you drive by them on the road. And so there's a lot of pressure on us right now out in this area in particular, and also, south of Platteview Road, closer in, like around 63rd and 84th and 114th for development. And so eventually this is going to be developed whether we like it or not. And ideally, you're right. When you're developing, you want to go city out, not county in. That's always preferred. But if we say, okay, we're not going to approve any exceptions, and you got to wait 40 years before this can be developed, how much revenue and tax revenue are we leaving on the table? Because agriculture's use is valuable and has a purpose, but it's not going to generate the revenues that 20 house sites will at 3 acres apiece. So I think, from a policy standpoint, we could probably argue the nuances is if this is a good idea or not. The reality is it's upon us. And in my mind, what I look at is does this make the most sense for the people of Sarpy County at large? And yesterday in our county board meeting, the county board approved the exception unanimously, but the concern really wasn't what you addressed. It was more along the lines of the water table, and is there enough water to have serviceable wells for all these, and what impact will it have on the land zoned AG around it? And that issue always comes up, and I don't know that I don't have a great answer for that. I really don't, but I know that's a bit of a concern and something that we look at, and that's why I don't know if Jeff knows the answer, but I do know that part of the permitting process involves, a water analysis and looking at the water tables. But John gave me many examples yesterday that kind of begs the question, well, you don't know what you don't know till you know it.
Well, that's part of the reason why the Sarpy County Comprehensive Plan says on lots under 3 acres, you're supposed to have community water or sewer. That's what it says right in the plan, because think about it, 3 acres isn't very big. You try to put 16 straws in the ground in septic system and try to site them the distance that's required apart from the boundaries and from the wells. It's just hard to do.
Yeah.
And that's, and like I say, we could go back and forth, but farmland doesn't cost the county much. When you put 16 people out in the countryside, now they want services. And now I don't think I've ever seen an area where it penciled out. It's better to have the growth from the edge. But
Yeah.
like I say, I don't.
Mr. Hoynes, do you have any comments you'd like to make on this, or any inputs at all?
The only thing I'm going to say on it is I appreciate how you presented yourself. I don't see this as a Sarpy wastewater issue, to be honest. I'm going to throw it back in your lap. This is a Sarpy County issue. They're the ones that are going to issue the permits. They're the ones that have that growth management program. For that reason, I'm going to vote to grant this exception. I think you make some very valid points, but I think it's a Sarpy County issue if they want to permit something out there. I think the responsibility of the agency is different than theirs.
So the comprehensive plan was, I think, done in 2005, right? That's 21 years ago. No one even envisioned the potential possibility of this area ever being sewered at that time. And I would say that what we're granting here is nothing that's going to change all the stuff that you mentioned that's in the zoning. That goes right back to back to Sarpy, but it allows the development to occur if they meet all the other obstacles there, and there's a myriad of them that they're going to have to clear before they're ever given a preliminary plat, and as they continue through the process. And I think that's the checks and balances I see. But as a sewer agency, the reason we formed the sewer agency, the way to pay for the sewer infrastructure is through density. And had we not formed a sewer agency, what you would see, Gerald, all over this county are 3-acre and 5-acre plots of land where everybody has a rural home site, and it puts a lot of demands on the services of the county, but does not generate the revenue that even begins to pay for those services. So I think that was sort of the objective, was to prevent that, because we knew the growth was coming, and we thought the best way to grow to control it was to develop an agency that was going to make sure that the checks and balances for density and the types of development went in were bounded. We're bounded by what makes most sense for the people of Sarpy County, but also most sense for the people that live next door and in the agriculture area. Protects their heritage, protects their lands from ever being encroached upon. So,
Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but just one quick point.
Sure.
Belabor the point, but you said at the meeting the other night, and it might be true, that it might take 50 years for the sewer to get to this area down there. Well, picture in 50 years, there'll be multiple people that didn't even buy into this subdivision to begin with, and all of a sudden Sarpy County comes along and says, oh, you got to spend $100,000 or more by then, because the inflation will make it work, to hook up to this line. They're saying, I'm perfectly happy with my well and septic.
Yeah.
There's going to be lawsuits beyond belief.
Well, I and that's a good thought. And I thought about that the other day, and I thought, I know I need to circle back, because and I'm not a real estate guy. Mayor Hike is. He might know this, but I would think that, when you make an agreement like this that kind of goes in perpetuity, I would think that would have to be somewhere, there would have to be something included in a deed or in a bill of sale that said you're subject to this in the future.
But that wasn't
Buyer
mentioned.
beware.
That wasn't mentioned at the county board meeting, if it's in the deed or anything like that.
Well, no one asked the question, and I'm just speculating. I don't know the answer. I really don't.
Well, thanks for your time.
But it's a great point, Gerald. It is a great point. How do we protect those, maybe not the folks that developed this addition, but the people that buy the lot from them, or the people that, on and on. So it's a good point, but this is exactly what the sewer agency, we look at this, and you're right, it was a 50-year project, but it's not a 50-year project anymore. Yeah. It's more like a 20-year project, because the demand for land and for development in Sarpy is really almost insatiable. So
but all I'm saying, it kind of looks kind of bad. You say, I want to manage growth, but if you're willing to kick out the $6,000 for a lot, we don't worry about managing as long as you're willing to pay the $6,000, So they don't.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well,
what do you mean 6,000
per lot to get the exception?
Oh, yeah. It's more per lot. So you're talking 4 lots per acre, or?
That's what was the quote that was thrown out, that this developer will have to pay $6,000 per 16 lots, about $100,000. So you got a growth management plan, but you can have an exception if you're willing to pay the fee, even though you're not going to get a sewer. It just looks bad,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. I'm a little slow on the uptake there. Now I understand what you're saying.
Well, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have any comments?
I've got a quick question for Jeff.
Yes, sir.
Does this exception, and I'm sorry, sir, does this exception meet the criteria of when you guys made that? And I guess Dan, you could have answered this also, but did that meet how you look at granting exceptions and I guess give you confidence that, they're meeting everything as far as the sewer agency goes to grant this exception?
From the sewer agency perspective, yes. However, we don't look at this and say we agree or disagree with the type of growth or the type of development that's being proposed. The agency member came to the agency and asked for an exception, and it meets their, build-through requirements and what Sarpy County as a governmental entity requires from a zoning and planning perspective. So we're just administering our regulations to that, and they've met everything that's required.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
And that's a great point, but you know what? It raises some questions for me that that I'd really like to ask and know the answers to with, definitively. What's the impact on those folks downrange that may be the second or third buyers of this, and then the sewer comes and they get a knock on the door and say, oh, by the way.
Yeah, the exception request, the resolution is actually written that this is, basically a temporary solution. And at some point down the road, if and when they're asked to abandon it, they'll have to abandon their septic and make the connection. Now, they are paying, because our fee structure is anything less than 3 acres or over 20 acres is a flat lot fee of $6,000.
Yeah.
They'll pay our current connection fee of $6,000, and then down the road when they connect, they won't have to pay again because they've already made that payment to the agency.
So, but they'll have to.
Unless they redevelop.
Okay, I got you.
And
So
make
if
more
it's
dense lots.
if it's replatted into higher density.
Correct.
Then they'd have to pay that, but they'll never have to pay the.
If it remains a 3 acre or less lot, or unless our regulations change between now and then, they've already paid the agency connection fees one time and they won't pay them again unless there's redevelopment. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But I at least for me, I'd like to know what our bond council's going to tell us on these kind of exceptions and how they may impact the financial viability of the organization moving forward. Do we have that kind of visibility? Will we get that kind of visibility from our study?
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear your question fully. What was it?
Well, what I'm asking is, we've hired a consultant the last time we had our financial analysis done, it was 2017.
Right.
Yeah, so we're using 9-year-old data. Is the analysis that's being done correctly gonna look at the agency today, the way the developments occurred up to this point, what the future looks like with all these exception requests, and how that's gonna impact our financials long term? Because originally, it was high density development. That's why we created the agency, because that was going to pay for the agency construction, the $110 million debt we have right now, which is only really about 40% of what our total debt will be at some point.
Right. We could pull this thread for the rest of the evening. I want to answer your question
Well, I don't want you to answer the question. I want to know if the study's going to answer that.
Not the PFM study, no.
Okay.
That's got 3 narrow things it's looking at. But I will say this, from a 30,000 foot area, when we did the original study in 2017, there's roughly 85,000 acres south of the ridgeline.
Right.
We only took about 40 plus or minus 1,000. The rest of it's in the conservation easements.
Yes.
We based our pro forma off of that 40,000. Just as we started to build phase 1A, the yellow line, the city of Bellevue came in and said, we think we want to add to your area. And they added 4,000 acres that have still not been programmed into as revenue. That model's not been updated, nor will it be with PFM. I'm telling you, I have very, very strong convictions that we're in pretty good shape, and all of our current collections will tell you that. We got 4,000 acres, and Jeff did a more granular analysis here, where just the member requested it. That's really key to our decision. And just in their area, their more lasered, narrowed area, there's been more added to this area than taken away since the inception of the agency in acres. So we're pretty comfortable with the finances.
Okay.
We're getting off of the agenda item here. We need to get this back to what's in front of us, because we're getting into the study and everything else. I don't think that's germane to our agenda item.
I agree.
So we need to take a
Okay.
motion or,
Anybody else have any other comments?
Now I'll make a motion that
I
we
think this
approve the
gentleman
exception.
actually did, Don.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Mr. Knapp, how are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for letting me talk again.
Sure.
John Knapp, 19010 South 168th Street, Springfield, Nebraska. My property is diagonally across, when you go to the intersection of 168th and Buffalo Road. The subject's property is on the northeast corner of the intersection. I'm on the southwest corner. And then I have property about a quarter mile straight south of his property. It's about a quarter mile south of Buffalo Road. It's a half mile long from 168th Street to midsection. So I kind of, bracket him. But anyway, I agree with Gerald made a lot of good points that I was going to make. But, and kind of on the end there, we were talking about, one of my concerns is when I read the plat map, or they talked about at the Planning Commission how that in the future, they're going to do now, they got the lots, but as the sewer line comes up, they're going to have to hook up to the sewer line. On the county road, there's an agreement that if that's improved, that they're going to have to chip into the improvements on the county road and stuff like that. But I didn't see anything in there that locks them in. And like you were talking a little bit ago, they're going to sell the property now, and the people buying, is there anything in their title on the property that says, in 25 years, the sewer line's going to be going by, and you have to hook up so that the owner now and or any future owners know that they're committed to hooking up to a sewer line that comes in with and it just doesn't sound like that's going to work with government. I mean, you'd probably be tarred and feathered if you come up to a guy's house and say, well, tomorrow the sewer line's coming by, you're going to have to pay $150,000, $100,000, and you're going to have to hook up. And an example was Fox Run is a development up by Gretna, and the developers got an exemption from the county planning to add a couple extra lots down in the lower part of the draw. Well, I don't remember, this is probably 15 years ago, had a heavy rain and it flooded the lower property owners. These properties got exempted. They come to the county board and they claimed that it was the county's fault that their house flooded, and they wanted the county to take action. County board said, well, go talk to the developer. They said, we've already talked to the developer. He's gone, he's bankrupt. And so it ended up Sarpy County and the NRD fixed the problem for the people, and it was created by poor planning, people making exemptions to plans. And I wasn't there at the meeting, so I don't know how gross, how bad it was. It's been a long time. It was a good heavy rain, and as I recall, the tubes up there around Fox Run going under the road, uphill of them, are like 3 8-foot diameter tubes. So I mean, this little area had a lot of water going through it, or at least somebody felt there's going to be lots of water going through it. But the Sarpy County and the NRD ended up paying for it. And I worry about things like this. You give exemptions to this, and unless I didn't see anything in there really tying the developer or the future owners of the property that's being sold to the problem. And so I'd encourage you to just not approve this exemption. And I think doing this also, giving the exemption, like Gerald was saying, I talked to Bob Royal, the previous owner, in October of 2024, and he said that a developer offered him $25,000 an acre. But when a developer talked to the county told him he was gonna have to pay him $26,000 to $28,000 an acre on top of that to develop the land. So he backed out of the deal. So Bob Royal told me that, we're gonna have to sell the ground as farm ground. You're not gonna be able to develop it. The developers aren't gonna pay that kind of money. Well, what I know, when you find out, the property sold as ag ground, and now he's applying for an exemption to develop it. And so you don't have to be a Harvard business graduate to figure out that you can buy farm ground at farm ground prices and then sell it as a development ground. You're way ahead of the game. And most of the farmers are looking around and say, well, I can't afford to pay that kind of money to farm it. It's just not going to return. And so I just think it's totally against business and everything else in the county. And I'm for slowly moving. I mean, it's not like we don't have any property being developed any place. There's plenty of property being sold closer, like down around Bellevue and Papillion and Gretna. And I just think it's wrong to jump out in the middle of the country. I mean, if you look at the map of that area, this development is in the middle of the whole section. Probably 60 to 70% of it is farm ground. And now you're putting a bunch of homeowners who aren't going to be happy with it. Thanks for your time. Have any questions? And
Thank you, John.
If I was a county commissioner, I'd be voting against this, but I'm not.
well, anyway,
Thank you.
any other questions? Thanks.
I just want to clarify one thing, Dan, maybe. My understanding is they're never going to have to pay anymore unless they replat.
That is correct.
3 acre
Unless
lot.
it's replatted to higher density. One-time fee, you're correct, Mayor.
So there's no cloud on the title.
$150,000 bill, we're gonna knock on their door down the road unless it redevelops into higher density.
Right.
You're correct.
Yeah, but my original argument was, when we did the original finances for the sewer agency, it was based on high density, not a bunch of 3 acre
Right.
exceptional granted subdivisions out in the country. So, that's the part here that gives me pause.
Understand?
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay, so the resolution is to grant the growth management plan. Well, before we go on, is anybody here from the developer? Okay. The resolution is to grant the growth management plan exception. So does anybody want to make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by
Who was the motion?
LaVista.
La Vista?
LaVista and a second by Papillion. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 4, nays 1, motion carries.
Okay. Okay, item 11, executive session. Discussion of a legal matter.
Yeah, I move we go into executive session for the protection of the public interest. I move that we go into executive session to discuss litigation, personnel, legal matter, real estate, or other topics as pursuant to Nebraska statute.
Okay, can I get a second, please?
Second, Bellevue.
Okay, I have a motion by LaVista, second by Bellevue to go into executive session. Please vote.
Yeas
Good.
5, motion carries.
Okay, it is now 4:54. We're going to go into executive session where our discussion will be restricted to a legal matter. I'd like the agency counsel, the agency administrator, and all Ready? What's that? Okay. It is now 5:05 at 4:54. We went into executive session where our discussion was restricted to a legal matter. I need a motion to return to the regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by La Vista, second by Springfield. Please vote. Okay.
Yeas
Item
5, motion carried.
Thank you. Item 12, Resolution 19, approving amended job description for the agency secretary and appointing an interim agency secretary, Dan Hoynes.
I just submit on the written record and ask for your approval.
Okay, any questions or comments for Dan? Motion, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion by Papillion and a second by La Vista. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yeas 5, motion carries.
Okay, all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Sarpy County and Cities Wastewater Agency Board is adjourned. Our next meeting is July, what day? July